Hello, today we will be presenting our preliminary design project. My name is Emily Swindle.
I'm Richard Liu.
And I'm Liam Lloyd.
Our original problem statement was to design a device that can reach over the chasm and place an egg in the reactor without breaking it. From this, we noticed the implied solutions highlighted in red, the biases in purple, and some omissions such as dimensions of the chasm, dimensions of the bioreactor, and the location of the bioreactor. And also what does limited resources even mean? From this, we revised our problem statement to be design a method that can transfer a hen's egg across the chasm into a bioreactor. The chasm is 10.5 feet wide. The bioreactor has a 7-inch opening, extends into a 1 to 2 feet into the chasm from the opposite side, and is elevated 8 to 10 feet above the ground. This process must be completed within 10 minutes. One note about our revised problem statement is that it has a range of dimensions, which means that we have to make an adaptable design.
Here's a table of our objectives, functions, and constraints. In our functions, we have transport the egg across the chasm, support egg during transport, place the egg into the bioreactor, detach egg from artifact, and accept user input. We felt that these were absolutely necessary for our artifact to work. In our objectives, we have the artifact to be stable, to be consistent, to be precise when placing the egg, be weather resistant, be quickly constructible, be portable, and be adaptable to the changing conditions. And in our constraints, we had must keep egg intact, must be built with limited resources, and must complete egg transport in under 10 minutes. These were required, otherwise our artifact would not be a success. Here's a basic overview of our morph chart. We came up with multiple sub-functions that were not listed in the previous slide. Examples include to obtain power to store energy, because otherwise the egg wouldn't be able to just move itself. We also had to consider protection of the egg after and before the release, because we did not want the egg to crack. In one of our first design alternatives, design A, we thought of a catapult that would be able to throw the egg over by flinging it across the chasm.
Another design alternative was design B, using a crane or an arm. This would reach over the chasm and release the egg into the bioreactor using some sort of release mechanism. We considered the crane or arm because we figured it would be relatively reliable and reaching across the chasm would not be an issue. Another one of our design alternatives was design C, an inclined plane. This design would be used by placing the egg into a transport container and letting it slide down the inclined plane.
In design D, we would attach the egg to a kite, which would then fly over the chasm and release the egg into the bioreactor. This design alternative did have inherent weaknesses in that the wind can be unreliable. In design E, we again flew the egg over the chasm using balloons this time. It has similar reliability issues to design D. However, it is notable that the control strings, which would have been used to guide the balloons in design E, were eventually adopted in the ARM design, which we chose for our final product. This pairwise comparison chart shows how we ranked objectives for the purpose of comparing our design alternatives. You see here we have precise placement of the egg ranked most highly, closely followed by stable and consistent performance. And then portability, quick construction, and weather resistance fall in a lower category of priorities. This best-in-class chart shows how we arrived at our final design. You can see here the arm and the inclined plane were very close. However, because the arm is ranked higher than the inclined plane in the two most important categories, we were confident that the arm was the best choice for this project. And we were fortunate in making that decision, as an inclined plane would have been less feasible under the altered conditions.
So this is the prototype that we came up with. As you can see, we have our arm reaching across the chasm. The balloon symbolizes the basket or container which our egg will be carried in. At this stage of our process, the design for the carrier was not yet finalized. At the end of the PVC arm, there are 2 strings attached, which Richard and I used to maneuver the end of the PVC pole to increase accuracy of our egg placement. In our transition from the prototype to final design, we finalized our egg protection and carrier. This includes a small cloth pouch filled with 20 cotton balls in which we would place the egg. This pouch then gets placed inside of a larger cloth pouch that is filled with balloons, slightly inflated, and then attached to the end of the PVC arm. So this is an example of the size of the balloons that would be cushioning at the bottom of the pouch. This is our final design. As you can see, it successfully places the egg into the bioreactor. Now let's watch a video of its performance. So our final results show that we successfully saved humanity. The total time for this process was 2 minutes and 40 seconds. The time to load the egg was 2 minutes and 8 seconds, and the time to transfer the egg was 32 seconds. These results provide us with some objectives for future changes to the design. One goal is to have a faster loading time, because it's apparent that our loading time was the majority of the time we took. Another objective would be portability, because it was difficult to transfer our device to the location of the bioreactor. We would like to thank Professor Krause and Professor Leip and all of our classmates for providing feedback on our design process. Thank you for your time.